take a plane to another plane, to another plane, to another plane, bumping Baka not nice while I'm trapping in the rain. Hello and welcome. This is episode number 23 of Ezza Trips Balls. I'm super excited for this conversation because, man, it's been a rough couple weeks for fans of Kanye West. So my man here, Spiritual Thomas, I stumbled on his material through Twitter. Awesome article, and then I realized he had some YouTube videos as well. And yeah, he kind of speaks my language when it comes to Kanye West and spirituality, and I'm also huge on Alan Watts, which you bring up Alan Watts all the time, which I love. So right away, everything this man does resonates with me. And yeah, he's got a theory. He's got one hell of a theory, and I love it. So I don't know. You want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, sure. My name's Thomas. I'm just a dude who spend a lot of time in like spiritual practices. I went on a bunch of meditations and stuff, and I got into spirituality pretty young, when after grade 12, and it's just been something that stuck with me. And yeah, just like when I first got these intense experiences, I thought I was going crazy, but then I realized it was actually the outside world that was more crazy than what I was experiencing. And then like watching Kanye and like someone who is at the forefront of the culture, like at a level where he's at, talking about the same stuff that I was feeling, I was like, man, like this is exciting that someone is actually seeing the world for what it is, and is actually trying to do stuff in the world to get to a place more spiritually free, in a way, where free thought is his priority and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, there's just so much to unpack when it comes to him. But yeah, I mean, I'm just, when I first had the insights of Kanye, I started making those videos that you see on my YouTube page. I think it started like 8-9 months ago. And I did them either for people to call me out on my crap, so like tell me like, what are you saying? Like, this is all nonsense. Or just to like get my message out and see how it ages through time. And something that's happened is like now where we are at today with Kanye and everything, it feels like every time he has an interview, he just proves me a little more right,
It's pretty wild. So, yeah, because I was watching some of your stuff that was a little bit older, and I was like, fuck, this could have been made like today. And that's how it is with him, man. Is like at first, whatever he does is always gives you a weird feeling. Like even as a fan, I'm always like, oh, what are you doing? But like every single time the same pattern happens, as far like, and that's my experience with Kanye. Now if I could sort of share it from my end, I was a huge fan of him early on when he very first came out, just as a hip-hop fan. I didn't see him as a revolutionary or a prophet or anything like that. I was just like, this dude's making really fresh sounding rap, and he raps really well. His beats are great. He produces for rappers I like. Big fan, right? So then he became the massive star that he was, and I was rocking with him. My problem was I was at that point in my life an older head. I fucked with more old school hip hop, and at that time, the new school wasn't really there yet, but it was beginning to emerge. I was looking forward to Good Ass Job, right, which was supposed to be the sequel to Graduation. That was like sort of, if you're like an old Kanye fan, everybody wanted Good Ass Job. He veered off into 808s and Heartbreak. Now that's when I started to like not support him as much. I kind of went into other stuff. When he came back, after the whole Taylor Swift incident, which, I actually had no issue with at all. I thought it was just like that. For me, that's just par for the course Kanye, but I guess at that point, a lot of people didn't really know what to expect from him, I guess. It seems they still don't, apparently, though they should.
He went to like Japan after that Taylor Swift incident.
Yeah. And he, so then he comes back and he starts talking all this stuff. And at this point, I still wasn't fully back into supporting him. I have to admit, like, a very rare fact about me that nobody knows is that to this day, I have still not heard My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy from beginning to end. I've heard
Mm,
parts of it,
mhm,
but during those years, until Watch the Throne came out, I kind of started getting back into him just as like a music fan. And then when I had kind of my first mini revelation about him, I went to see him for the Yeezus tour. And that was the tour
mm,
where he was wearing the mask
yeah.
covered in diamonds the whole time. And the whole time I was like, it might not even, unless you know Kanye, that could not even be him. You don't even see his fucking face performing, right? But the fucked up revelation that I got from that show was that his entire what he was trying to get across was that I was him, and that the audience was him, and that we're all just
Mm,
him, and that he's just us, and you can do this too. And that's like, without saying it, that was like the aura that he had through the whole show, was just that,
wow.
like, you can do this too. That was kind of the whole feel of it. And that's the feel I
Wow.
walked away from, was that, like, I could do that, or that, like, he wanted to empower the audience. And
Yeah.
that's why he wore the mask, right? Because it could have been anybody behind that
Exactly.
mask.
It doesn't matter who it is. The identity is
Dude,
everybody. Yeah.
right? So
Wow.
after that, I started to like open my eyes up, and I went back to some of the interviews that he did prior to that, where he really turned people off with the I am God talk. And
Hmm.
similarly to you, I was like, holy fuck, Kanye West has been saying the spiritual shit the Alan Watts, that type of
Yes.
shit that I've been into for years. And I've kind of been
Yeah.
not really paying attention,
Yeah.
and here's one of my favorite artists, right? Now, a side note, my personal life, one of my best friend, uh, he was a ginormous Kanye fan. He just preached Kanye, 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 even through the years that
Hmm.
I didn't. He ended up passing away, and in a tragic incident, and as a result of that, I was simultaneous. That was in late 2014, so it was shortly after I saw that Yeezus concert. So
Hmm.
simultaneous to my friend, who was a massive Kanye fan, passing, I kind of had that revelation, and then really went deep after that. I was like, holy shit, like,
Wow.
Kanye's the fucking truth, right? And then um, during the 2018 major controversies with him, with the whole TMZ famous slavery
Hmm.
is a choice thing, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
but I was going through really hard times in my life during that whole Pusha T, Kanye West, Kids See Ghosts, Nas, like when they did that surgical summer
Yeah.
of releases. And literally those waiting every week for those albums, like, got me through life during that time. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And
Wow.
then so that's when I went fully headfirst, and like Kids See
Yeah.
Ghosts, fucking that album just like blew my brains out
Oh,
of
it's
my
it's
skull, because
revolutionary, man.
huge Cuddy fan as well. And then to hear
Hmm.
them do that album, which is so spiritual, like it's almost 100%
Oh,
spiritual.
it's so for the future. Like
Yes,
even the artwork, the art, like everything
come
about
on.
it is so like it's like 100 years from now, people will be like, mm.
I finally found the vinyl. I looked for it for so long. I'm like, I don't want to order it online because I know I'm gonna find it in a store. I finally found it in a store, but yeah, like, come on,
How long
man.
have you been looking for it?
It took me a while. Like, I just, like, basically
Wow.
since it came out, and I just found it like earlier this year.
Yeah.
Pretty much right before malls shut down. I found it at the mall.
There
Um,
you go.
yeah,
Epic
so like
timing.
that's probably my favorite album cover of all time. The
Hmm.
fact that they went to fucking Japan and hung out with Murakami and and played
Yeah.
him the album, had, like, what the fuck is life, man? What the fuck is life? How is that even allowed to? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's almost
It's,
like, and again, it's the people who it matters to, right? Like, it almost felt like it was happening for me.
hmm.
Like, I
Yeah.
can't put it any other way. And then
Yeah.
and then
Because
simultaneously he ends up having the most successful years of his career, just and kind of gets proven right in so many ways. So that's my Kanye story. And then I kind of find you, and you're kind of talking all this stuff, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is like this is it. Like
Yeah.
I get into so many Kanye arguments and I can't properly articulate what I believe he is, for
Mhm.
better or for worse. Like, obviously there's a lot of rough times with him, but
Yeah.
for better or for worse, what he is and what I believe he will end up doing, I haven't heard articulated quite so well until I ran into you. So that's my timeline to getting to this podcast right here. But honestly,
Right here
dude,
in this
like,
moment.
yeah, like I feel like what's happening is so huge.
Oh, it's
And I
huge,
feel
man.
so blessed to have the insight that I have. I feel like the
Yeah.
whole reason I even got into hip hop from a young age, was so that I could know what's going on with Kanye right now, because you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's
it
like
just all
everything
led up to
happens for
this.
a reason. It all lines up. It all parallels.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Yeah.
So I want you to
It's
just,
amazing, man.
like, try to break down your theory
Hmm.
in the best way that you can. Like,
Yeah.
Your Twitter profile is my theory is this, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I want you to try
I
to, I want to,
actually I changed it. I changed it to that like a day before you messaged me.
really?
Before, yeah, before it was like plain or empty or something. I didn't have anything. Yeah. Yeah.
That's incredible, because yeah, I read that and I was like, I really want to give this guy the opportunity to just present that theory,
Yeah.
maybe to an audience that's not your own, perhaps
Yeah,
pull
I
some
mean
people in,
that's why I'm so thankful for like
Yeah.
reaching out and for having me, man. Like this is the first time anybody like really took me seriously. Everything I've been saying, and like people think I'm like worshiping him. It's like I'm like, no, you guys don't see what's about to happen.
Yeah, and it's like yeah, you go ahead, man, just go ahead.
Yeah.
I can't
So
even.
for me, for me, it started. Well, I was always like into hip hop. Eminem was like my all. Like Eminem got me through childhood. Like I know
Yeah,
all his raps by heart, and like
me too.
I was huge. Yeah, so I was huge into hip hop. But when I really started paying attention to Kanye was with his Jesus is King album, and
Wow,
especially
very
like the
recent.
song, very recent, and his song Stella, and like just some of the lyrics was like the army of God, we are the truth, just like those. It was just some of the most beautiful like lyrics I've ever heard, along with the production of it,
Yeah,
the music. It was just so elegant and so spiritual, and it actually took me to transcendental places, believe it or not. Like while I was listening to God is, it like it just it it like lifted up my soul to like a different place, and it was the first time that music has ever done that to me. And
yes.
so I always knew Kanye had a spiritual inclination to him with all his music and everything.
Hmm.
But it was through that album that I'm like, time is only going forward. And as the world continues to descend into chaos, there will come a time in which the humanity spirit will rise from the ashes. I mean, that's like sort of the humanity story.
Right.
Every time things, it's like, it's inevitable in a way. And so just looking at like after Jesus is King, I started revisiting all of his other projects and all of his other interviews, and that's when I started putting together this thing. It's like he has always been the truth, just like in
Yes.
Wash Us in the Blood, the devil a liar, I've been the truth. It's like he has always been pointing to the other side of our mind that's more spiritual, you know? And it's like he said in a lot of his interviews, it started off in graduation with his Good Morning song, like his good graduation album, right? It's like he graduated to that place.
Yes.
That's how I see the album, right? And in his song Good Morning, Wake Up, Mr. West,
Yeah.
that's like a call for everybody to wake up. And he is just a reflection of humanity. And we have
Yes.
been on this journey with him from that album, from that time. And everything he's been doing since then is to sort of flip this paradigm, because it's sort of like humanity descended into chaos a little bit, or like is just sort of living in reverse. And the fool who Kanye West sort of portrays, the
Hmm.
Joker in a way, is somebody who always flips it 180. So if the world is in order, the Joker tries to remind people that the world is fundamentally chaotic. Like if you go into nature, it's chaos that's in perfect harmony.
Right.
That's what allows nature to thrive, right? When you look at trees, like Alan Watts, he has this theory of everything is wiggly. So in
Yeah,
nature,
yeah,
everything's wiggly. There are no 90-degree angles. There are no right corners. It's just the human mind that tries to put everything into 90-degree angles and tries to like categorize everything, and
yeah,
and so just Kanye being like doing the Taylor Swift thing, like being that sort of personification of the fool, always going against the culture, always going against the way things are, is such a reflection of what things could be. He always portrayed like the other side of what humanity could have and the states in our mind where we could go. And so as like things started to go a little worse and worse for like the way, just like, the way our everything is set up in society is not good for mental health. Like mental health has been at an all-time high, and like all these things that are happening, mental illnesses, I mean, it is so like just the way our culture was headed was not a good place. And I saw this while I was teaching my meditation classes at school. There would always be so many people who were stressed out with the classes they're taking. And at U of T, like the suicide rates and stuff like just skyrocketed in the last few years, like 2, 3 years. And I mean, all of this is really, I mean, just seeing all of this happen in the world and then seeing somebody who is at the forefront of it, like Kanye, portray that like taking on the risk, risking his career,
yes,
risking like everything, his whole life, like he said in God is, this a mission, not a show, you know, like
yeah,
it has it's a mission, and it's his family, it's his life. Like this ain't no joke. He don't joke with nobody, like he always said. Um, yeah, so everything he's done is extremely it's very profound, and it's extremely spiritual. And just like the role of the fool in a chaotic world, which is what we see now more and more, the person who seems really far away from the chaos or uninvolved with everything that's happening in the world and speaking their own truth, their own mind, is the kind of person we need to listen to, is the kind of person that might have an idea to actually bring some order back into the chaos. And it's
right,
no coincidence that like he's so spiritual. Like everything he's done is for the future. All of his music, it's like he's at the forefront of where humanity's consciousness is going. All
always,
of the music he's done, yeah, it's like as he developed his own consciousness and climbed like the ladder of consciousness in a way, like the watchtower of consciousness, he produced music along with that. And so right now, giving himself to God completely, saying things like Jesus has won the victory, it's like he has already, he's gone, he's gone to that place where he got delivered, like he got saved, he became fully awakened. And so his music now, Jesus is King, Jesus is like, full worship to God in a way. That's no coincidence, because that's where humanity's consciousness is leading. And he has always just been, he put it upon
damn,
himself. He put it upon himself to be the voice. He put it upon himself to be the person who tries to develop his own consciousness for the world, for the people, to show them this is what we could have, this is where we could go. And
God,
yeah, now he's just all the way there, man. And that's where humanity's headed. And it's only a matter of time until, it's our choice. We're at a point in our world where we create our own reality. And Kanye has showed us a really beautiful reality that we could have on our planet. And it's only a matter of choice, what we choose to go, which side we go to, whether it's hell or heaven. It's like he said in that Big Boy interview, it's very simple. It's paradise or Fahrenheit. Yeah.
that's a good rhyme as well. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Now, what I find at this point is turning obviously a lot of people off is the like hardcore Christian rhetoric that's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily like progressively spiritual, but more like almost regressive. For example, like hardcore anti-abortion and like
Mm-hmm.
all the stuff that people would see as reaching back rather than reaching into the future.
Mm-hmm.
Now, me as somebody that kind of understands his intention is that Kanye is always trying to envision a perfect world. Now, in a perfect world, there would be no abortions, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we can all probably agree on that, right? But this is not a perfect world, and therefore, women need to have the choice what to
mm,
do in certain cases with their bodies, right? Now, the fact that Kanye is talking like this is really turning a lot of people off. Even the anti-vax stuff, right? Like I understand his intention there. In a perfect world, we wouldn't need fucking, to force people to take needles or whatever. We may not need to in this world. And that may not be a direction that we want to head. And I get what he's saying, but to say that vaccines are the mark of the beast and all this stuff, it's really freaking a lot of people out, right?
yeah,
And this is where I always have trouble defending him when he's in the crux of what he's doing. It always is a few months later that I can go, see, motherfuckers, right? But right now, because he's put himself so at the forefront of the conversation at this point,
mm,
like, and because I've been so vocal about him these last few years, I can't avoid finding myself in the position of trying to explain these things.
yeah,
The other thing is Kanye is inspired by Andy Kaufman, as he said in the David Letterman interview. What he loves about Andy Kaufman is that Andy Kaufman did everything literally. And
yeah,
to me, that is what Kanye is doing. He's literally being somebody who's been saved by Jesus and
yeah,
talking like somebody who's, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But he understands, I think, that what he's gone through is way more profound
mhm,
than probably can be explained in any other terms
mhm,
than Jesus saved me, you know.
yeah, yeah.
So
And
though people see that as kind of old language, I think
yeah,
he's just expressing something timeless.
yeah, exactly. And I feel like his ultimate form of expression is through his music, you know?
Yes, it always ends up coming down to the music. And that's the other thing I need people to understand is that, like, if you actually listen to the albums, then there's no doubting what he's doing.
Mm,
It's
yeah,
always ends up being through the music. And the crazier the shit, or the seemingly crazier the shit he does leading up to the album, the better the fucking album. You know what I mean? So this next shit, when he decided to run for president 4 years earlier than planned,
mhm,
my first reaction as a fan was, this album's going to be incredible. Maybe that was selfish of me,
yeah.
but a lot more people are
Probably is.
concerned for the fate of the globe and whatnot, but I was just more excited for the album, man.
The music will get out of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he said when he was like creating Ye, his album Ye, he said he wants all the smoke, he wants all the pain. Like after the TMZ thing, he completely redid it, right? And he said he knows exactly what to do with the humiliation. He knows what to do with the pain that he went through. He converts that and like just manifests it into what he like, where he's at and what the people did to him. He knows what to do and how to get his message across uh, with like trying to least offend people, you know.
Right.
It's like every time he goes through some form of public humiliation, it's like it's so fascinating. I watched Mad Max the other day. Have you seen the movie Mad Max?
No, I actually haven't.
No, it's really interesting. It's real, and the reason I watched it is because in Ecstasy, he has the song Ecstasy. He has a
Yeah.
says, "We don't throw stones, we throw stacks. That's why they're going mad, 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 Max."
Right.
That's
So
a
we're going Mad Max. Yeah.
yeah. And Mad Max is essentially about a dude who doesn't like the way that things are set up under this one dictator's like way of doing things. And Max is the dude who always tries to escape that place, the way that things are set up. And they like try to hunt him down and like, try to kill him and all this stuff. And they eventually escape with the war rig, with the tools that they built while they were under this dude's authority. They built all these tools, they escape, and they end up coming back with the same tools. And I can't
Mm.
help but see that that's Kanye's story. That's everything, and like,
Yeah, and that's the human story as well.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And like him and Kim, they recently released pictures of like posing in like super Matrix looking clothes in front
Yeah, those leather, yeah.
And now they're gonna come back very shortly and sort of like save everybody else. That was like his whole point with his letter on the Gap. Have you read that letter?
Yes, yes.
Out of nowhere, he's like, "I love Tron the original."
Yeah, yeah. It has nothing to do with anything else on the letter. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And in Tron, they get out of the game. They get out of like the way that things were set up. They sort of like hacked it. They were the glitch, and then they end up restoring order to everybody else. So it's
That's wild.
yeah,
It's the hero's journey, right? It's the hero's journey. And the funny thing is that nobody talks about anything else in that letter other than that line. Like all anyone mentioned is this guy's so crazy. He just randomly mentions Tron the original. It's like that's the thing you're supposed to pay attention to. He nailed it, you know?
yeah.
That's fucking yay, man. And it's
And he
just like
understands the hero's journey. He talked a lot about it before in previous interviews, and even in I think it was Fire and Kids See Ghosts. He has a line that says, "I'd improve to myself, back on that rule in myself. I have new news to tell." It's like he
yeah.
put himself back, like after he realized who he was, after self-mastery, after realizing who he truly is as a person, which is we're like spiritual beings having a physical experience. That's
Yes.
like humanity, you know? So,
So how do you I know this is new, but how do you defend things like the anti-abortion, the anti-vax, the because that's all anyone wants to talk about right now, and I know that that's a problem. But it's like that's the stuff that he does that frustrates me because it's like he knows that that's gonna like really polarize, and it's like I think that he. I don't want to say anything that I think he should be doing because that's against the whole thing. But like, I would love to see him like bring everybody together at this point. Instead, he's throwing out more very divisive kind of rhetoric, if you want to call it rhetoric. Now that he's running for president, you call it rhetoric.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he's throwing out some divisive stuff. So how do you like? How does that fit into the grand? What he's doing in your mind?
Mm, I don't know. I feel like it might go sideways if I start talking about all this stuff. But I feel like, I mean, that's his truth, man. We can't take anybody's truth away from them. And if somebody has a differing opinion from the masses, there should be some kind of discussion. I feel like now it's like if somebody has a different opinion, a difference of opinion, we immediately we cancel them. We do
Yes.
stuff, and they say they want to have a discussion, but I mean there really is no discussion when it's
There's no discussion. Yeah.
can't tolerate it, or like it's too, when these things seem too drastic, and it's very polarizing in a way,
Yeah, and no, you're absolutely right. And I honestly don't necessarily feel strongly one way or the other on either of those issues. So for me, like I see both sides of the argument on those issues, right? But they're just very polarizing things, and I wish that he didn't split everybody so much. And I hope that he pulls more people in to what he's doing very quickly. I would love to see him pulling more people in rather than pushing so many people away at this point. But it's always part of the grand scheme, and like I say, when we're in the crux of his whatever the fuck he's doing, I always feel iffy about it. I felt iffy when he was on TMZ. I felt iffy when he had a mullet, and I felt iffy about a lot of things he did. But then after a few years goes by, and it's like, oh, okay, now it all makes sense. And I know that that's what's going to happen again. But it's like
I mean, like with the whole thing of like the mark of the beast and like the vaccines being mark of the beast, I feel like, I mean, for me, I think that's essentially true with what's happening with the world. There are going to be vaccines that are going to help like the virus or whatever, but also like if you look at Bill Gates, uh,
yeah,
he
the
owns.
chips.
He's a tech guy. Yeah, he's a tech guy. Why does
Yeah,
he vaccinate 8 billion people? It's and recently there's an interview with his wife. I won't say Gates, whatever. She was wearing an upside down cross.
yeah. And why the fuck
Like,
would you do that when you know that? Like, what? Why would you do that?
that's the thing. I feel like these people aren't even really hiding it because
No, they rub it in our faces, man.
yeah, that's the thing, man. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I think with everything that Kanye did recently, he projects. Well, he doesn't project, but like he said, it's either he's gonna win 2020 or 2024, but it's in God's time. It's not on his time, right?
Yes.
It's when humanity sort of wakes up to the fact that there is so much more to being alive on this planet than we were led to believe through
Yes.
school, through just all kinds of indoctrination. Like Charles Bukowski said, he just flat out said, "We're free until age 5." Like that's it, and then we're unable to think for ourselves past age 5 because that's when other voices and all other opinions start creeping in and start dictating our life course. But Kanye has always been somebody who's like everybody's looking this way and he's pointing like, no, it could be that way, like
Yeah.
all the space over there. And that's another thing with everything he's doing on his ranch with exploring space for freer thought with his domes. He wants to
Yeah.
create homes that allow more free thought. Like, yeah. So I feel like with everything that he's saying now, he sort of projects that humanity will wake up out of the way that news and media has been sort of dictating our reality for us. That will break off shortly and we will realize our potential as a humanity. And
That's
that will
incredible.
happen in 2020 or 2024, but hopefully sooner than later.
I think that's hitting the nail on the head as far as what he's accomplishing, right? Is that like, yeah, and because the devil, as you will,
Mhm.
the it's in its last desperate
Exactly. Yeah.
attempt to, you know what I'm saying? That's how I feel. And I feel like, yeah, like as you say, he's always into the future a little bit. So him saying the things that he says in his music is like that's what's going to happen. That's where we're headed, is we will be saved from this. And it's very, very great. Very great. Great news.
It's amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's great news. Now, Wash Us in the Blood is not it's still obviously gospel-y, but
Mhm.
it's not as we've been saved. It's more as this is what we need right now.
Mhm.
And that's kind of how I see it, as Wash Us in the Blood is a very present. And that's why all the images from the video were within the last, were all very present time, relevant to what's going on right now.
Yeah.
I feel like that song is based in like, this is what is about to happen, like in the very near future.
Yeah.
We're about to kind of be washed in the blood, right? And then
Ac-
whatever these fucking albums with Dr. Dre are, that's fucking gonna be it, man. That's gonna be the
Oh,
awakening.
yeah, absolutely. I feel like he is going to wake so many people up with his music that's coming up,
Yeah.
especially now where people are so fragile almost, in a
Yep.
very like which way do we go? The good or the evil? It's like this battle is very prevalent in our world today. So it's the fact that there's already somebody like Kanye who is pushing so much for this good. Uh, it feels like we already won in a way. Like the fact that we are having this discussion, the fact that like I'm just talking my mind as to what I think of him. It's
Yes.
like the victory is near in a way. People are seeing.
Yeah,
20,
we I think you said in one of your videos, we're already in that world. Um
and the future always comes much sooner than we think.
yes. And Kanye sees that we're already in that world,
Yeah,
and is trying to help us all get there.
yeah, exactly. Because he's in it. He's already in it. Like he told us in Jesus, "That's right, I'm in it." Like,
He's been in it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And you bring up also the point of him bringing Kim Kardashian, who was basically known for sex tapes and known as a sex symbol, and like, all of these things, and now he's brought her into the light, so to speak, as well, and then shows that through his art, through his music, through his videos. um
yeah.
and then his children as well, are all now a big part of his art form. He just tweeted, like literally in the middle of the night, Yeezy Sound roster, and one of the artists on it is Northwest. Now, again, that's another one of those things where I'm like, I always have an iffy feeling about artists like shoving their kids into the spotlight, you know? But it's like you see her perform at that fashion show and she's having the time of her life, you know what I mean? Like she clearly loves it. And it's also his way of saying, in my opinion, the children are the future. Like the people that are small children now are going to be living in the new world, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
so that's who we need to be ushering in, so to speak.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
children are the future. It's so true. I feel like with his on David Letterman, I actually just watched that yesterday.
Oh,
That
did
interview.
you? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And he said he had this dream of like his grandchildren. They're gonna come up to him, say, "Granddad, we're floating." Like he has this image of like his grandchildren are literally gonna be floating. I mean, not literally, but I feel like spiritually in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, that is so like that's such a profound thing to say. Like
I know, like
we could
it's
actually have a
so
world
beautiful, man.
where people are so pure and like, yeah. I mean, I think that's happening, and I feel like if we were to visit his ranch right now and like spend a little time with the people he has been surrounding himself with, we will see. We're just going to be elevated just by being in these people's presence in a way.
I think
You know?
everybody who goes there has pretty much said a similar thing. Been
Yeah,
like, yeah,
that,
that it was an amazing experience, you know.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's I would imagine that it would be. Uh, yeah, I've already said like once if he ever opens up like applications to go and fucking live there, like I
No,
really like I'm gonna have to get my apologies out to my friends and family soon because I might be very they might never hear from me again. I might be down there.
or
You
you
know what
could
I'm
take
saying?
it with you.
Yeah. You know, I will try. I will try. I'll be like, listen, I know we're gonna be service workers, we're gonna be working in the barn and stuff like that, but we're gonna be dripping. The fashion's gonna be on point. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? We're gonna be service workers, but we're gonna be wearing fucking, you know what I mean, $2,000 outfits. It's
yeah.
gonna be great. Yeah, and they're gonna be comfortable as well.
They look
Yeah.
comfortable, man. Oh my gosh. Like
Oh,
like, his designs is so like I just see everybody in the future wearing them. That's what I
that's it. And that's what he's doing, right? Fuck,
and
man.
then we're gonna look at
I
the
wish
interview
people saw.
we're gonna look at the interview he had with Ellen when he said he wants to take away bullying with his clothes. And that was just like such a radical thing to say. But you know, in a few years when everybody's wearing Yeezy in the Gap, it's like $2 for like a Yeezy shirt. That's what
Yes, man. The Gap thing is that it's like, dude, but he's doing it, man.
he's
And
doing it.
the Gap better not fucking freak out because of all this political shit and be like, we're pulling out of this deal because it'll be
Yeah.
the stupidest fucking thing they ever did because it like, man, it's so true. And he's always said, man, I saw a clip someone shared on Twitter the other day from 2004 when he's on TV and he's trying to be like, he's like, why do we call things gay in a negative way? Like, how come when I don't like something, I'm supposed to say, oh, that's gay. That sounds gay. He's like, that's prejudice. That's discrimination. That's how, and they're trying to cut him off. And he's like, man, I'm in the middle of a thought here. Like, he's like, well, I'm trying to come on TV. And it's like, now you watch that and you're like, why did he even have to make an argument about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's 2004. It's like so ahead of the wokeness. You know what I mean? So like, for that same community to be turning on him now and being like, oh, he's a Trump supporter, this, that. It's like he fucking laid the path for your community, man. Listen to fucking All Falls Down. Listen to, you know.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, the stuff that he said that's been ahead of its time. And then, you know, as you bring up the bullying thing, you know, it's like
People forget though. People forget really easily.
apparently, and with him they forget that it's like it's a cycle with him, man. It's
Mhm.
every single time he's just leading us up the spiral. There's always like that dip that is super scary, and then it's like, oh shit, here we go. Like you know.
That's a perfect way to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the little clip of what's his name, Nick something, the British dude, the director, explaining the designing the website?
Yeah, Nick Knight, right?
Nick Knight, yeah, he's explaining him and Kanye design. Those are some of the best Kanye stories. Just like, yeah, he didn't really like the color blue, so he said we need to use blue because he wants to experiment with things that he doesn't like. And then he became obsessed with this picture with a lady wearing scrubs and it's like, man, just like the insights into how he thinks is so awesome, man. It's
And the
fucking
fact that like he said Akira is his favorite movie, right? He wanted to portray Akira into the
yes.
like just the fact that these things are so prevalent in his mind, like a TV, like a movie he saw from such a long time ago, is still the way he wants to express, or that had an impression on him. So the same impression that that movie gave him, he wants to give to the world. That is just, it's so admirable. And as an artist, that's exactly what artists are supposed to do, you know, just give
Yes.
full ounce of being to the world the way they see it, whether it's in line with what other people think. But a true artist will always stay true to themselves and with the vision they have and the process of manifesting that vision. And it's not always like a smooth road to manifesting that vision. There's going to be a lot of, ups and downs, but he has always
Yes.
been true to it. That's why when he says he's the greatest artist of all time, like, yep, like he got me. I'm sold on that. I really believe that.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly the greatest that I've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like, and just on the layers to
Yeah,
his art, he's made his life his art form. Everything he does is part of the art, and
his
yeah,
the message.
yeah, and the music is always like the tip of that spear, right? And then
Mhm.
everything else is like, but
Yeah.
yeah, and I feel like he does things to the extreme just to swing the spectrum that way in a way,
Mhm.
like he needs to be extremely Christian and extremely fucking like, Planned Parenthood is the devil, and like because that's not even in the conversation anymore, so if he presents the absolute extreme and puts it at the forefront, and then it'll just kind of swing. It's like at least he's bringing God into the conversation. He's bringing these spiritual things into the conversation. And I think that his like literal expression of that is his way of just putting it out there. Because if he weren't voicing these things, who the fuck would be? You know what I mean? Like who the fuck in the mainstream are you hearing talk? He said it on Jesus Walks, man. He said you can talk about anything except for Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like still 2020, you're not going to hear anything remotely religious or spiritual coming out of any fucking other than when they win an award and it's thank God, thank God, thank God.
No, yeah, exactly.
Other than that, you will not hear anything remotely religious, spiritual, Christian coming out of any entertainer's fucking mouth ever. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because it's going to turn people off. People don't like it. Kanye doesn't give a fuck, man. He's going to go all the way the other way just to keep it in the conversation, and that's the way I kind of look at it. And I don't think it's going to last forever, like I don't think he's going to be doing what he's doing at this moment forever. In fact, I think it's going to change very quickly. I think
Exactly.
the
It's an evolution. It's like, he's no longer in control. It feels like whatever, he's just going through life as a passenger at this point. I feel like everything he's doing now is sort of for the bigger picture.
yes.
He's no longer concerned with himself at all.
No, and that's like you said. He knew what to do with the humiliation, right? So it's like when he now puts himself out there and everybody talks shit about him, but he doesn't give a fuck anymore. He uses that as fuel to like further detach from himself and
Mhm.
from his ego. And he learned that harsh lesson through all those big egoic fucking outbursts early on, right? That were all me, 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 right? He had that turn around graduation. Then shortly after graduation, his mother died, and then it just fucking spiraled out from there, right? And yeah, like he's always moving away from himself, and now he's completely given himself up. And I think those kind of public humiliations, like you said, are almost a fuel now to be
Mhm.
like, look, they keep trying, like I keep fucking up Kanye West, and yet here I still am. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I keep fucking it up and it just still doesn't matter? Because ultimately, the mission I'm on is what is the truth, right? And I think that he's just going to start showing what he's doing now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's another thing I feel like. Yeah, he can't be canceled, like in the
He's
big.
uncancelable, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's because he's always been speaking his mind, and he's been canceled before cancel culture. And that's why I feel like he's going to have such a huge impact, because he is somebody who has always been for the truth. He just stood hand in hand with the truth. And the more this world spirals into wherever it's going, people will always listen to him in a way.
Yes, and look to him for like, what do we do? Like, what's coming up next?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it's
And
because of who he has been throughout his whole life, just the person he was. And
yeah,
that's why I think he's gonna play a. And the fact that he's an artist, like as Terence McKenna said, the task of the artist is to save the soul of mankind. Right? So it's like the artists are always the people who pull from that divinity, from the unmanifested,
yes,
manifest it.
yes,
Because they take it upon themselves to go into those spiritual journeys and come back to the people with a piece of gold. Like they slay the dragon, and then they come
yeah,
back to the people with the whatever, to prove that they went on that journey. So the fact that he's an artist and he has always been speaking his mind, he's been hand in hand with the truth. As time goes on, we will see that he has always stood for the truth.
yeah. And I think that him running in 2020, I think that I think he knows that he's not going to become the president in 2020, but I think he knows that that's part of the path of getting to 2024.
Yeah.
And I still think that he might fucking be the president in 2024, and like, no, I think he will be. Fuck it. This is Ezza Trips Balls. This is the Kanye episode. I'm going to not censor myself. I'm going to take inspiration from Kanye and humiliate myself publicly and say that right now, right here, Kanye will be president in 2024, not 2020. He's just getting himself in the conversation right now. He's getting the idea in people's heads, because it's the perfect time to show, like, listen, if Trump or fucking Joe Biden can be the goddamn president, why not the fucking guy who built himself from nothing who actually built himself from nothing to a billionaire? Okay, not the fake Trump from nothing to a billionaire story where he was already fucking got money from his dad. Somebody, if these two fucking idiots can do it, people are actually going, wait a minute, this guy actually fucking now. Right now they're saying he's crazy, but now he's going to start showing the stuff that only his followers know he's been doing. Right, like only people like me and you know he's been doing the dome thing. Only people like me and you know, like people who've been following him know the projects that he's been working on, what the philosophies are behind the free thought homes and the and the clothes and all this stuff. I think that now that he's put himself into the conversation and people are literally talking about Trump, Biden, Kanye, whether that's a complete fantasy, which it probably is, right? There's probably still only two candidates, but people are literally talking about the three candidates being Trump, Biden, and Kanye, which is insane, right? He's got that conversation happening.
Yeah.
Now he's going to start showing the revolutionary shit that he's been working on, and people are going to go, wait a minute, this guy's a fucking nincompoop. This guy's fucking on death's door and can barely think straight or talk straight.
Doesn't know where he is.
Doesn't know where he is. Whereas this motherfucker's, what's Kanye, 43, and accomplished more in his life than fucking anybody, and has always been at the forefront of everything, and now has all these revolutionary ideas for humanity and stuff like that.
I feel like it's sort of destined for him to be in that position.
It's crazy.
The people everything he has learned on this journey,
Yeah, so in 2020 people are just going to see that, and then come 2024 he's going to walk. He's going to walk.
Yeah
I don't think he's walking this time, but I think he'll walk in 2024. I'll be like, guys, come on. Like, it'll just be undeniable at that point. There probably won't even be a president. He'll be something else. Like, the whole thing's a joke, the whole thing's blowing up. And he's putting himself out there as a potential leader, which right now seems nuts. But when people see the type of fucking shit he's actually working on and doing and making happen, and the people he's working with, that's the other thing people don't give him credit for, man. is like, if this guy is such an idiot, right? And you see all over social media, the number one thing is how stupid he is. He's just so stupid. He's fucking, his IQ's low. He's an idiot. He's just like Trump. No wonder they love each other. They're both stupid. It's like, come on, man. This guy works with some of the best architects, engineers, designers. They all say that they don't get to do nothing better than when they get to work with Kanye. You know what I mean? Everybody who collaborates with him says they fucking love when their phone rings and it's Kanye West, because they're actually going to get to do something fun with their career. Because most of them have, like, you know, they work for big companies. They got to do this, that, or the other. Kanye calls them, they get to do something fucking nuts, something creative, something, you know? So it's like, if all these people respect him and work with him and put themselves and their careers on the line to work with this fucking guy who they know can fly off the handle any moment and tweet that he's going to run for president, doesn't that say something that he's not fucking as stupid as everybody thinks he is, or as crazy? It's like, I don't understand how people could be so close-minded. It like kills me. But I think he just also needs to show more of that. He, like I said, only really the fans know some of the brilliant ideas that he's worked on. I think he needs to show more of that side of himself. But again, as I said at the beginning of this podcast, I don't like saying what Kanye should do or needs to do or this, that, or the other. He always proves himself right. But it, you know, this stage of it, where we're at right now on July 11th, 2020, it's difficult to be a Kanye fan. I saw a tweet the other day that was like, being a Kanye fan feels like a 9 to 5. And I'm like, that's so fucking true. Like, I work my regular job and then I come home and I'm a Kanye fan and I'm fucking arguing with it. It's like, man. And I don't want to get off social media, because then everybody's going to go, he's fucking getting off social media because Kanye's fucking crazy, right? You know, but it is what it is, man. I need to just let the man prove himself. But I love having conversations like this because I feel like I can speak my truth, you know?
That's all what it's about, man, you know? And, you know, when he first announced, like, his presidency run, like, for 2020, my thought was, he is about to do so much in the next coming months that he would have won people over. That's what I thought, you know? But I mean, now looking at it, maybe 2024 would be the most. But just like he said, like, we as a people are going to walk to the position, because we're going to get to a point in our civilization where it is so far from how things are right now and how things have been, that it's just going to be a whole new paradigm. And the new paradigm is sort of just going to be infinity. You know, actually, I have a quote here. When he stood up on the Detroit Art Institute, I think it was, he stood up on a desk and he started, like, talking to the people. Have you seen that video?
Was that when he goes off about Elon Musk?
Yeah, exactly. Elon Musk is alive, our lives are better. Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah.
He said, we are one time. We are going to be the time that pushes existence into infinity. We will work together and be that time. We will be the time of people that remove time. It's now, it's happening. That's a direct quote, you know.
I love that, man. You know, want to know something funny? When I read your article, it quotes that at the end. I screenshotted that quote, and it's my display picture on Facebook right now.
Oh, really?
I love that you brought that up. I didn't even attribute the quote to anybody. I just posted that quote as my picture, and I put hashtag President 2020 or some shit like that, or President 46 or POTUS 46. I forget what I put, but maybe everyone knew it was Kanye. Just like, man, that's the most profound shit ever. But I didn't know that quote was from that rant. So that's even funnier, man. That's brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that it's just a matter of time until people realize that we are divine beings, you know, and time is really just like, the more we advance our collective understanding of consciousness and who we are as human beings, the more we realize in the moment, the deeper we get, the more happens within a moment, you know. It's like meditation. They always say true freedom lies in the moment. Like, the only way you can get true freedom is within the moment, in the present moment. And when you realize what you realize after practicing meditation for a very long time is, the more still your mind becomes and the more you're able to silence your ego and all of your thoughts, the more you see that there's actually so much more happening in the moment within your mind than you think, you know. And there begins to, this space begins to creep in within yourself, and you feel like you're just yeah, yeah, I don't know what to say.
No, that's a beautiful way of putting it. It's these things we don't really have words for. We have art for, we have poetry for, we have music for, but we don't have. You can't really explain it linguistically. Alan Watts is the best for me personally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other point that that reminds me of, that I actually was thinking about before this, because I was thinking of like ways to talk about the Jesus thing.
Mhm.
And one thing that I thought of was, you know, the story of Ram Dass,
Mhm.
Neem Karoli Baba. He went to India, but he read his mind basically, and it fucking blew his mind out of his head. One of my favorite things from that was at the beginning when Ram Dass is trying to get Maharaji to take him on as his student or whatever. Maharaji's going, you're from the West, like Jesus is going to be your guru. Jesus is your guru. Like that's what he was saying to him. Like the West is, Jesus is for the West. Like we have other gurus over here for the East, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So now I think I link that to Kanye, because like we are living in a world where, like, or in a society in the West now where like the Jesus thing has been so bastardized and ruined, and it's like if you even say that you're a Christian, it's like, oh, you're a fucking pedophile, whatever it is, you know, just because of how ugly that whole thing has been turned. Sometimes rightfully so by history, you know what I mean? If you were fucking either brainwashed by some Jesus cult or fucking raped by some priest, I imagine you have the right to be anti-Christianity, right? But society as a whole has poo-pooed that whole thing. And I think that the Jesus, whatever, whoever he was, you know, the words and the message that is attributed to the figure that we know as Jesus is the truth.
Mhm.
And the Jesus story is the truth. It is the human story. It's the hero's journey. It's the most like in your face hero's journey. The guy literally, you know, dies on the cross, publicly humiliated, publicly shamed,
Exactly.
dies, goes to heaven, and then comes back to save everybody else. It's Mad Max. It's the Matrix. It's Tron. It's fucking
Yeah.
Kanye. You
The
know,
Lion.
it's the Lion King. Yeah, fuck, it is the goddamn Lion King.
In the Lion King, even the beginning scene is the son is born, like Simba is born. Like it's very, yeah.
Lion King is spiritual as fuck.
Oh yeah,
When
absolutely.
Mufasa appears in the sky and says, "Remember who you are, remember who you are." Come on, son. They're showing that to children, you know? It's great. That's why like some of the evil shit that's attributed to Disney, I'm like, well, you know, it's like at the same time.
Another thing why Kanye is Walt Disney is such an inspiration of Kanye is because Walt Disney was such a visionary. Imagine like
Yeah.
understanding the hero's journey, understanding all of these the humanity story, and making movies about it. Like all of these, The Lion King
Damn.
originated from Walt Disney. Walt Disney is
Damn.
the guy who created all of that.
Damn. I never even thought of that way, and it's so obvious.
Yeah, and also,
Fuck.
yeah, man. And Steve Jobs, he was like
Yeah,
one of
Walt Disney, Steve Jobs.
like Toy Story, one of the like we are the toys, this is our story. Buzz Lightyear to infinity and beyond. Like, you know, when you start putting these things together, it's like these people
We
knew what
need to show these things to children to like, oh man.
yeah.
But then there's the duality of we're also selling these things. You know what I mean? There's always a duality. There's
Yeah.
always a duality. There's always a duality.
That's just where we are at right now.
That's what, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It needs to be channeled through this current state of affairs,
Yeah.
right? So that kind of can look bad sometimes. But the ultimate, like the message itself is still going to be the end result, you know? Damn. And then even the other fucking thing that, you know, when you think of Apple and Disney being major inspirations of his, even when he first tweeted McDonald's is my favorite restaurant, I was like, man, why is he fucking promote? Like it kills so many people, you know what I'm saying? But then I go to a McDonald's and I think about it through the lens of it being Kanye's favorite restaurant, and I'm like, this is fucking brilliant. This is brilliant design. This is brilliant. Like, this is perfect. It's not healthy food, but everything about the aesthetics, the way that it's all set up, I thought of the vision of it
Mm-hmm.
Like, think of a way to standardize meals,
Mm-hmm.
right? Burgers and fries and drinks. You know what I mean? It's like it's that they kind of standardized a meal. And that's kind of what he wants to standardize homes. He wants to standardize clothes. You
Yeah.
know, Steve Jobs standardized phones. Disney standardized storytelling. You
Yeah.
know, and I look at McDonald's through that lens, and I'm like, God damn. And then there's that same duality of, well, they're serving everybody shit, but that's what they needed to do to get, you know, it's fucking wild, man. And Kanye needed to fucking turn a bunch of people off to do what he's doing, but fuck it, he's never hurt anybody. That's what I try to tell people. Like, he's never harmed a fucking hair on anybody's head. You know, if any fucking allegations come out about him, I'm like, that's bullshit, because you would have done it 100,000 times by now if
Yeah.
there were real allegations to be made on him. And that's partly why he's cancel proof, because what allegations are you going to make about a guy whose fucking wife is Kim Kardashian and who's been living on a ranch in the middle of nowhere this whole time, and, like, you know, only basically travels with his family? It's
Yeah.
like, what does he actually do that harms people on
And
his
it's
fucking
like he did all
day-to-day?
of that on purpose because he saw that the ways that culture would have gone after him. It's so clear how his life is a message, man. You know.
Hello.
Hello, man. My bad. I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened either. You just you kind of froze and then broke up a little bit, and then you were gone. But I kept her recording so we could just keep on rolling. Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember exactly where we were though. That's the thing. I
Yeah,
got a
it
little
doesn't matter.
distracted. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, no, it doesn't matter.
Amazing. Like I feel like people like us, we are sort of, you know how in the GQ interview, Kanye said with him, it's sort of like planting seeds. Like
Yes.
every time he talks, it's not for now. It's just planting a seed, you know. And it's like later
Yeah.
on people will. And us, it's like for people like us, we are sort of like his seeds are now sort of growing, and we are seeing them grow, and we're
Yes.
talking about them. And I think that's like it's beautiful.
Absolutely. And I really hope that there's more conversations like this happening. You know,
Yeah,
because yeah,
there will be.
it needs to happen, and there will be. Right. I almost want to, like, do one of these like once a month until
Oh,
the election.
oh man,
We'll
so
do
much
like
is
a
gonna
little,
happen.
yeah, we'll do like a little Kanye check-in or something like that. Like every month we'll do one or some shit like that if you're down.
Absolutely,
I
man.
think
I
that'd
love
be
that.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would love to too. So yeah, let's do that, man. And then in the meantime, like, you know, keep doing your goddamn thing, because I'm gonna keep following and keep watching. But yeah, man, so that's where we're at. We'll do that then for sure. So yeah, let's keep in touch, and we'll set like a little tentative schedule, and we can keep trying to do, if this like Saturdays in the morning works for you, I'll keep making
yeah.
it work. And yeah, man, we'll do some Kanye check-ins. But if he fucks up too bad, I'm just gonna delete this episode. We'll pretend this conversation never happened. All right.
That's a good idea.
But I no, but I'm pretty confident that we'll be on the right side of
We're on
history.
the right side of history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kanye always is, man. Kanye always is.
We've already seen it. We dream it.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, on that note, man, I guess we'll wrap things up for now, because we don't want people to get too sick of our worship, our idol worship. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, that's what I think. I said it's something that clicks in your head, right? Like, you either see it or you don't, but once you see it, there's really no turning back. He is not about Kanye West, like you say in your video. Like, his name is Ye because he's us.
He's us.
You know, and that's, I think, the ultimate thing people need to see. And then when you listen to his music through that lens, you're like, why do I relate to all of this?
Yeah.
I'm not fucking famous. You know what I mean? It's all so relatable and so, like, man, can't say enough about the end result of his music. And we don't know anything about when God's Country is supposed to drop, or the other. Apparently he's got 2 Dr. Dre related projects.
I think Jesus is King Part 2. Is that still a separate album, or has that turned into God's
Yeah, I think that fans are still talking about it as if they're separate albums, but I don't know if there's been any real confirmation on that, you know? Yeah, I know they originally called what they were doing Jesus is King Part 2, but I don't know if that has been said by anyone but fans
Mhm.
recently
And
since
it's
that first photo.
fascinating that now with everything happening with him, his his old music has come back to the charts.
Yes.
It's like Jesus has come back. It's like all of these things, and that's amazing. It's like it's sort of what we need now. You know?
Yeah. And
People will
what's
sort of maybe see what he has been talking about, and it's like, damn, he sees the blood on the leaves. He knows we the new slaves. It's like, damn, maybe, you know, we're not so free as we once thought we were. Maybe he's onto something, you know?
Yeah, and you also realize how smooth the transition is into gospel music for him, because you're like, hold on a sec, this guy mentions Jesus on like fucking almost every, like he makes some reference to religion all the fucking time. Like there was no lack of God or Jesus or spirituality in his music prior to Jesus is King. So for people to act like that's something, like it's almost weird when I hear him swear and shit now when I listen to his old stuff. It's kind of fucked up because it's still such a recent thing. But now I hear him say something like crass or sexual. It's like, and it's still funny because he's always clever. But I'm just always like, yeah, you could kind of tell he was just like playing to the culture there, you know, like, you
and
know,
he's not playing for the culture. That's it. Like, you know,
exactly.
He's and for the culture.
And he says that explicitly on Jesus is King. It's like, this is not about the, you know, like, you know, as you said, culture was his God, and now God is his God, but he's using the culture.
Has the rules and the culture too. Just like when he says, like, I love Tron, the original, like stuff like that is how he's going to use the culture to win people to his side in a way, because he has all the tools of the culture. So,
and he gets it.
He gets it, man. And we get it. And hopefully everybody else will get it soon.
Eventually, man. Eventually. Yeah. I would love to know more than one person that I can have these conversations with, but I'm super thankful to have found you, my man, and we'll keep doing them. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for reaching out. I really appreciate your support. You're the first one to support everything I'm doing. Now I'm just going to, like, I'm going to be on a roll now because I know there are people who actually see what I'm doing, you know?
Well, and I love that you say that it was really around Jesus King that you started paying that much attention, because I feel like, you know, it must be all the much more validating to you that me, who's been a fan of his, you know, and following all along, gets what the fuck you're saying. You know what I mean? It's got to be kind of validating. So it's super cool that we can chop it up, man. So let the people know where they can find you and stuff like that, where they can find your work and your social media and so on and so forth.
Sure. My thing, my Instagram is @tshakir, SHAKIR_. I've been doing all these kinds of things on Instagram, just like expressing my artistic form, dancing with, like, you see that light behind me? I turn it on and like change the effects and like put on Kanye and dance to it, like he's ushering us to the light. It's just so fun for me and I love it.
I do that not on camera, so maybe I should start doing it on camera.
And Twitter, what's my Twitter? @ThomasSpiritual, I think it is.
Wonderful, man. Well, I really appreciate you, and we'll do the monthly check-in as long as he doesn't embarrass us too much.
Keep doing you.
Yeah, you too, my man. We'll be in touch.
Yeah, take care, bro. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. Peace and love.
About to take a plane to another plane, to another plane, to another plane, bumping back and not nice while I'm trapping in the rain.